edition of the live Pittsburgh Sports Line in the BPTV studios. Thank you again for watching us on Verizon 32 everywhere in the Pittsburgh area, from Nemacolin to Cranberry Wexford. We appreciate you. And for everybody on Comcast 7, only available in Bethel Park, we appreciate all the likes and the watching us. And a couple people shouted out, "Hey, I know who you are." So I appreciate that. And thanks for watching the show. We got a nice show coming up for you. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I got Chip Hayner with me, and I got Smoking Jim Frazier, who come in with 2 minutes to start the show.
Plenty of time to prep.
Wondered what we were doing here. So we're here. We're ready to roll. Shout out to Olive Oil's Pizzeria. I'm not sure what camera will put it on, but 412-831-1900. Great pizza. Smoking Jim didn't get to his yet, but I enjoyed it. Chip had some hoagie. We got steak hoagie. Thanks a lot, Frank, for it. And they got a new manager there named Ken. I said I'd give a shout out, but he was eating his French fries and burger. So you may have fries on your pizza tonight. So who knows? But give him a call, Hillcrest Shopping Center.
Sounds like a Pittsburgh thing.
Yeah, it is. I'll put
fries on it.
Promos. I always support the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. That's Joey Fabus. I mean, it's terrible what happened to him. Didn't make it to his 9th birthday. That looks good. And they do a lot of special things coming up. They got some Joey Fabus events happening at Hollywood Lanes, and some places we'll be getting details shortly. Frank Fabus was taking photos last night. He's in our Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame. That's the uncle of Joey. And Dave Fabus made it out of the house and showed up at our show last night, so we were honored to have the Fabus boys in the house. And we always give that shout out to Stay Joey Strong. Now, the Bethel Park Historical Society has a schoolhouse right up here with the trolley on South Park Road in Bethel Park. Donate something to them. Go to check out their website. Took a tour of the place. Excellent place. They have that trolley that's there right out front. Can't miss it. Right on South Park Road. Let's see what else I got here for you. All right, the Bethel Park Community Foundation. We have this. You can go online at BPCF. Pull out an application. There's money for you from $100 to $5,000 to help out your group. If you're doing things with kids and other people in Bethel Park, check it out. Go to the website and check that out. And hey, that's what I have for you. Now we're going to start with our beginning of our show with What's on Your Mind. Whoa, somebody's trying to get a hold of me. They better wait. We got an hour show, and we're ready. And I got to kick this off with Smoking Jim Frazier. What's on your mind, Smoking Jim Frazier?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green, you got to see the bit of the fast low in the way.
I'm telling you, I thought Garrett Cole was throwing that one.
I was inspired by Claudio Rosano yesterday with his pitching techniques, so I threw the low hard one at you, brother.
And I believe one day baseball will go to underhand pitching and save the shoulders.
We got to have another disclaimer. Smoking Jim is an NFL scout. He's a Steelers scout. He knows only what he's learned on our show about baseball, even though his best friend, brother from another mother, is Claudio Rosano.
And I believe that outside linebackers will start wearing tutus.
And I believe that they'll have white cornerbacks and safeties in the NFL. Because I don't care about race. If you're black, white, green, or you just come down here from out of the ocean, we'll put you on the field if you can do a 4.22.
Speaking of white, I love that white shirt, man. It looks good. I got to order one.
I wore it because it felt like spring-like today.
I didn't know
with
that.
all the rain. We kept getting rain today.
I got on 2 jackets, a turtleneck, and
You don't care about the heat or cold.
Hey,
Smoking Jim still has his Bulls hat on.
Out in God's country, the hawk is still biting.
He's still got his Chicago Bulls hat. in honor of the Chicago Cubs. So, the World Series champions.
Well, this is wasn't what's on my mind, but was kind of inspired by my buddy Chip, so I'll get it out of the way. A lot of you people probably seen a movie years ago, Menace to Society.
Yes.
And I always say, if there's a Menace 2, who was the Menace 1? And everybody wants to talk about the diva wide receivers in the National Football League. Yeah, they're the Menace 2 Society. Menace 1 to Society is the owners. And I'll go back to Terrell Owens, who I seen in college, who was a shy kid. Antonio Brown was a shy kid. But when you got ownership and coaches who allow guys to come into the league and kind of run rampant, what do you expect? And then you go around and throw them out millions and millions of dollars. Congratulations to Antonio Brown, $18 million a year. And, you know, don't expect these guys to conform and not be Menace to Society when Menace 1 to Society, the ownership is supporting that kind of behavior. But anyhow, what I really wanted to talk about, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later, is I set an all-time record. Not too many writers in the city of Pittsburgh can write one game, let alone two. I wrote on 12 games. WPIL games. I love the women's game. 6 women. The new Pittsburgh Courier, and it was a challenge this year. If anybody knows anything about the Courier, it was a challenge right off the bat with Pine Ridgeland and Butler. But Phil Djorkovic had a great game.
Yes, he did.
For Pine Ridgeland. He's a junior quarterback going to Notre Dame. Next year, he should set all kind of passing records, but also an outstanding basketball player. Congratulations to Pine Ridgeland, 72-61 win. Moon! Mm-hmm. I was able to write pretty good on Moon because they had a black guy transfer in, which I didn't believe in.
Yeah.
He played 3 years at a prep school in Massachusetts. His name is Jared Simmons. He's 6'7". And I tell you what, just a dominating guy. I feel bad for Hampton. Hampton lost 69-62. But if Jarrett was ineligible, which he should have probably been,
wow,
Hampton would be champs. But congratulations again. If you guys get a chance to see Jared Simmons play, he's being recruited by all kind of Division I schools. Outstanding. How about Newcastle, 73-58 over Quaker Valley? In Newcastle has a guy named Maurice Hooker. Probably heard of his brother Malik Hooker, who we want the Pittsburgh Steelers to draft as a free safety from Ohio State. His brother, pretty good basketball, football player. But the star of the game was 23 points from Geno Stone, going on a football scholarship to Iowa. So I expect that brother to be back home in a couple of months. I ain't been get so much corn you can eat out there, but look for him to transfer out of there.
You've seen it over the years, Smokey Jim, so I'm not betting against you. You say these outstanding statements, so I'll believe you in that Bulls hat.
Lincoln Park, did they play Swickley Academy? Is that correct?
Oh my goodness, you're a little bit ahead of me there.
Well, there are 12 games we're talking about.
Yeah. Lincoln Park got beat by North Catholic.
North Catholic, okay.
North Catholic beat Lincoln Park, and Lincoln Park has the black kid Nelly that our guy Mike Drakulich talks about all the time.
We talked to Mike on our show a few weeks ago or a month or so ago, and he said he'd get Nelly. We wanted to meet on a Friday night. Nelly scored 50 points.
50 points, but he choked that night. Maybe that's why Pitt's not recruiting him. He can't play at the Peterson Event Center.
Neither can the Panthers.
Yeah, upset by North Catholic 56-51. And keep North Catholic in your mind here for a little later. Swickley Academy 71 over, I never heard of this team, Our Lady of Sacred Heart.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so they beat them.
I've heard of them. I didn't know they had a team.
How about the game that turned into roller derby in hockey? Monessen 74, Amani Christian Academy 59. There was some fights, there was some rumbles. Amani come out a little flap. Amani has a 6'3" basketball player that's a great football player. He's going to West Virginia University, Kenny Robinson.
Nice.
And he's another guy that transferred to several different schools over his high school career.
And it worked out for him.
But he got a double technical foul, which means they qualify for the PAAA, but he cannot play in the first game because 2 technical fouls, you got to miss the next game. So
Thanks for that tidbit, Smoking Jim.
Yeah.
The rules are what the rules are.
The rules
man.
are what the rules are. So we might have seen Kenny Robinson playing his last basketball game. How about North Allegheny? Paul Zeiss's daughter plays for North Allegheny. She scored 4 points. North Allegheny beat Bethel Park 50-39, and Bethel Park did a great
Why
job.
would you poke an angry bear like Paul Zeiss?
Yeah,
I hope he's a friend of yours.
well, Paul Zeiss is my favorite cab driver. But we had Bethel Park on our show, and they did a great job. Nobody expected them to make it to the championship. They did a great
Congrats
job.
to Jonah, the coach.
Yeah. How about Chartiers Valley, 52, Oakland Catholic, 36. And remember that number, 36. Chartiers Valley has a 9th grade basketball player. These are girls' games here.
Right.
Chartiers Valley got a 9th grade basketball player with the last name McConnell. Remember that name. She's outstanding.
They're coming out of the woodwork.
They are.
That family has been fruitful, and they have multiplied.
TJ's her brother that plays for the Philadelphia
Maddie
76ers.
plays at Robert Morris. Yes, she does.
How about North Catholic again? North
I heard
Catholic.
them earlier.
North Catholic beat Blackhawk 65-36, another 36 number. And North Catholic, Sam Clancy played at Pitt. He's first guy to ever have 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. I think he still got Pitt record for over 1,300 rebounds.
He was on Pittsburgh Sports Line.
He was on Pittsburgh Sports Line
Love
as well.
my dad.
Love your dad. How about Sam Young?
Yeah.
Played Pitt in the NBA. The best Sam that ever played at Pitt on Pitt's basketball court may be Sam Breen from North Catholic. 34
You went
points.
off on a tangent there.
34 points, 20 rebounds. Outstanding. Going to play next year at the
Any
University
assists?
of Dayton.
Do you have any assists?
She's
Archie
a
Miller.
female, Samantha. She goes by Sam.
For Archie Miller.
Well, she for the females. Yeah, Archie plays
okay.
for the
Archie.
yeah.
Okay.
She goes by Sam, but it's Samantha.
Okay.
I'll
Thanks
call her
for-
Sammy.
I'm back on
I
track.
call her Sammy.
I'm back on track.
Yeah.
Does
and
she listen to
I'm
you?
almost done.
Does she listen to you? Does she listen to you?
I love
She
Sammy.
don't even know who you are.
I love Sammy. But how about Bishop Canavan, 65 over Neshannock, 36. 3 games in a row with 36, and Bethel Park scored 39. So
What does that mean?
I don't know. That was something. I may have to play it. Here's somebody that breaks the trend. Chartiers Houston 47, Vicention 35. So they broke that 36 trend. And last but not least, you talking about great point guards. I prefer point guards in basketball. Pete Maravich was my favorite. Bob Cousy. How about Iverson? I love the point guards, whether you wear a suit or not. How about Gina Thorpe for Winchester Thorston? She's only a junior, being recruited by everybody. Outdid Deja Quick for Cornell, 52-41. What an exciting game. They may meet again in the PIAAs.
In the States.
Who's one of the assistant coaches?
Robert Burnett.
That's it. And that's what's on my mind.
Good job, Jim.
Thanks, Smoke. I was hoping you'd get some of these people to be guests since you're such good friends with all of them.
Sammy, come on, Sammy!
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Well, thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. What's on my mind this week? First, I just have to respond to one of Jim's questions, and I do believe it was a rhetorical question, but I feel that it warrants an answer from me. He was asking me, Menace to Society 2, so he was curious as to who was the first Menace, and of course everybody knows it was Dennis the Menace.
Great show. Great show.
No, since we were talking about some accomplishments and all, and congratulations to all the Whippeal winners, Jim hadn't mentioned him. I planned on it, but Jim's doing his homework. When he's not here, he's still here. He's working hard. But another couple of accomplishments from a couple of local boys. One of them used to play here at the Pit and was a fairly decent point guard at that time. Sean Miller, he won the Pac-12 Coach of the Year award, and his baby brother Archie won the the MAC Coach of the Year award. So a couple of
That's
local
something
basketball players who have done well for themselves. Not as players, but as coaches, just following in their father's footsteps.
Who's a coach?
And since we are talking about basketball, I think what's on my mind this evening is, if anybody's paying attention, and I doubt very many people are, right about now, Pitt is in the process of losing to Georgia Tech in the first round of the ACC tournament, which will end a pretty disappointing season for the Pitt Panthers basketball team. You know, they brought in a new coach, Kevin Stallings, and Kevin Stallings did have some pedigree for what Pitt was looking for. But Jamie Dixon got out of town while the getting was good, because with the team that Jamie recruited, Kevin Stallings, his record is 15-16 this year, and he's probably going to be one and done in the ACC tournament, which I don't believe that Pitt will even get invited. Well, can't even buy their way into the CBI tournament. The NIT's out of the question. Now, if Pitt could do something along the lines of winning 5 games in a row here and winning the ACC crown and making the NCAA tournament, I would probably eat my hat on air. But I don't think that that's going to happen this year. But, the Pitt basketball team has been so good for so long, consistently 20-plus wins. And this is the first time they've had a losing record since 2000. And, you kind of expect more out of the Pitt team. And I'd like to see it, say that, I don't put this all on Kevin Stallings. Kevin Stallings, has been a basketball coach a long time. He's got his own system, and he had to work with players that were people that he didn't recruit. They may not have, been the kind of players that he wanted for his system. He did the best that could be done with them, and unfortunately, the season's been, quite a disappointment. And you've got the NCAA basketball tournament. Selection Sunday is 5 days away?
Yeah.
The biggest basketball tournament of the year. So I look forward to better things coming from Pitt in the near future. And, I hope this loss this evening is not so painful. But, it's hard to have hope for a team that lacks the one thing that Jim said that he likes, a point guard. That's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. I appreciate it. I got a couple things on my mind. I've talked about the Steelers spending money this year on AB and Le'Veon, and Chip and I had a little discussion that he informed me, which I was shocked, that they're $21.5 million under the cap.
Right now.
The Steelers are. Wow. So I'm happy to hear that. That's a good sign. Can't wait to see what happens. And then in the news now, I do watch ESPN on some other things, and I keep hearing about AP, Adrian Peterson. And then I keep hearing about the Patriots, that would they be interested in taking him? He would take reduced wages because he's made tons of money, but he would love to get a ring. So there's rumors going around that maybe he would sign with them, and maybe the Patriots would be interested. Now, last year he only averaged like 1.6 yards before he got hurt. So he has some baggage, off the field, on the field, different things like that. But that got me thinking, boy, would that be something else to see AP sign with the Patriots? Mm-hmm. Reduced wages. I mean, it's an interesting concept. And these things happen towards the end of people's. Look at D'Angelo Williams. Mm-hmm. Was going to retire. They thought he was going to retire, and he's played the last couple of years very well. Mm-hmm.
Well, another perfect example is look what happened with Darrelle Revis. He went for 1 year in New England, and now, not besides the $100 million that he's made in his career, then he got his ring, and then he could go and
do what he wants.
And half-step it for a year and collect a paycheck from the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Randy Moss played a year for the Patriots. Almost got a
he
Super
took
Bowl.
reduced.
Yeah.
18-0. Went 18-0.
Yeah, but you know what he remembered? 18-1 don't mean squat. That's what he learned.
He could catch one of the
Yeah.
one of
What
the
you do in
greatest
the regular
receivers.
season matters not. You have to win the championship to put your stamp on it. Ask the Golden State Warriors. They'll tell you.
And Chip and Smoking Jim could go on and on. That's why you watch it, but that's what's on my mind. We're going to move to commercial. We're going to commercial, and then we'll go to our segments. So stay tuned. Chief, I got a shout out to you. Go have that dessert. The last 3 times I've said it, Chief has had dessert. So
Hey.
enjoy it again. Chief, thanks for coming out to Pittsburgh Sports Line at Hollywood Lanes. And we're going to go to a break right now.
Hi, Bethel Park. Remember me? My name is Jason Planitzer. I was the host of a little show here. You may have seen it. It was called The Jason Planitzer Show.
What would you say your experience at BPTV, how has that had an impact on your life?
I found my voice. I learned how to be funny. I learned how to create things. I learned how to collaborate with people here. I developed an interest in film and comedy and making videos. It stuck with me. It continued through my life. I got into working on motion pictures. I now I'll produce small videos. I'll work with producers on commercials, television projects, feature films. I scout locations on TV shows and movies, which involves me reading scripts, finding the locations that need to be shot, and collaborating with the director and production designer to find the perfect spot. It all started at BPTV for me.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. Got a little fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. I hope it ain't too long today.
We got an extra 2 minutes.
Got an extra 2 minutes. Okay, I probably need that. First of all, when Al Levine, the talking machine, and Chip Hayner was coming through high school, it was a great era for football.
Oh, yes.
Tough defenses, but in the history of the WPIL, there has never been a 4,000 career rusher. Until 1981, overrated guy for Mon Valley Catholic by the name of John Green. This guy was so popular, he was the first to crack the 4,000-yard barrier. He was so popular that he used to sign autographs before and after games. And I remember in '82 watching him in Johnstown at the Johnstown Memorial or Johnstown Stadium playing the Big 33 game. Mm-hmm. And he had already signed to play at the University of Miami. And he was a face in the crowd, didn't last at Miami more than a semester, transferred to Waynesburg. And it got me to
That was a
thinking.
step up.
Yeah. It got me to thinking that most guys who run for a lot of yards in high school, a lot of times they mature in 9th and 10th grade and really don't get that much better. Another case in point was the first 7,000-yard rusher in WPIL history from Fort Cherry named Mike Vernello. And I remember seeing Mike play his senior year. He was about 175 pounds. And I was thinking to myself, wow, this guy probably wasn't any better in 12th grade than he was in 9th or 10th grade. Just consistent. Another guy that went to West Virginia, they threw him back to Waynesburg. But
Waynesburg's popular.
yeah, very popular. But the guy that fooled me was a young man that I watched play in 9th and 10th grade. We were able to honor him on the show when he was in 10th grade. Very mature as far as dress-wise. Wore a nice outfit, nice dress shoes, came with his mom, 2 diamond earrings in both ears. Very
He
mature.
had or his mother did.
He did. Had very mature looking guy.
What was his mother wearing?
Consistently got bigger and faster between from 9th grade all the way through 12th grade. Because what happens a lot of times, like you take the greatest player in Gateway history, John Gay.
I thought it was Jim Frazier.
I keep myself out of the conversation. But in my opinion, a lot of people think it was Curtis Bray, but in my opinion, it was John Gay. And John Gay was so great, he could run a 4.340 in 12th grade. He probably could run a 4.440 in 8th grade. But by the time he was a senior at West Virginia, he was running a 4.9. And he was, because a lot of guys can gain weight and get faster, but most guys gain weight and get slower. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think this would happen to this kid, but it did. A kid by the name of Russell Shell. Mm-hmm. Russell Shell was everything 9,000 yards in high school.
We talked about him more than once.
Got better every single year. Could have went to any school in the country that would take his grades. And, you know, had a few babies in high school. I mean, I guess twins count as more than one.
That's 2.
But I count that
For
as
all
one.
you keeping records, it's 2.
It's 2 mouths to feed, Jim.
Yeah, it's 2
if
mouths.
you had to feed him,
But
you'd know
it
they
ain't
were
like
2.
you're running around that much.
Oh, yeah,
Although he ran around, had some other babies too.
They're going in different directions. Yes, it is. But go ahead.
But so he goes.
Where are you going
He
with
goes to Pitt and gets big hit. And like I said, he was the guy that fooled me because, and I'll wrap it up. Because when I had him on the show, very mature guy, dressed well, you know.
He didn't work out though.
The dad wasn't in his life.
He didn't work out though.
And I knew I should have been a red flag when he got in trouble with the basketball coach. The basketball coach threw him off the team a couple of times. Him and the basketball coach couldn't get along. That should have been a red flag. He goes to Pitt, gets big headed. Instead of staying at Pitt, he tried to transfer to UCLA. Pitt said, "You're not doing that." Transferred to West Virginia, where I'm surprised they invited him to the Combines this year. He ran a 4.75 at the Combines, a guy that could run a 4.3 in high school. So, in my opinion, Russell Shell is done. He put me in the mind in high school, and now he put me in the mind of a guy that never played in the National Football League, Maurice Clarett. Did the same thing. He was a 4.4 guy in high school, 4.8 guy when he tried out for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, he's probably playing on the prison team now.
Yeah.
Longest yard.
Longest yard. Yeah, Maurice. He got himself. He was one of the Youngstown boys, was he not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there was another Jim Tressel.
Yeah.
There's the one that had a black cloud hanging over his head that he almost brought down Ohio State University.
And that's the reason why I don't evaluate high school kids, because there's some kids that mature in high school and other kids like Antonio Brown who had to walk on to college, a smaller college, and matured in college.
And you know what? That's a very interesting point that you made, because Alan and I were having this conversation before you got here tonight. We were talking about another one of your favorite athletes from the local area, Terrell Pryor.
Great Terrell.
Well, and he may have been a great high school athlete, and I think what happened was his talent was so great in high school that he felt that once he got into college, and more importantly into the pros, that he didn't have to put in the hard work that you have to put in to become truly great. Now look, he's his 7th or 8th year in the NFL, and he had a relatively mediocre year for a wide receiver last year when he had 67 catches, 4 touchdowns. Okay, I mean, you could get in the NFL anymore receiving. You can get 1,000 yards receiving falling off the back of the cart. Okay, so don't make it seem like it was this huge accomplishment. 1,000 yards is less. What is it? About 80 yards a game he's got to average over a 16-game season. I don't think, but he's looking to get $10 to $12 million a year as a free agent, and I think it's kind of.
I don't think he'll get that.
I don't think he'll get it because I personally don't think that he's worth it. But part of the problem is that he peaked in high school, and he has not been. Well, you know what, Jim? Maybe you're not watching the same Terrell Pryor that I have. He has not been first team All-Pro for anything, not at any position in the pros. And as a matter of fact, if my memory serves me correct, he got thrown out of college. Okay, so he didn't win any national.
Correctly.
There was no Heisman Trophy. There was no national championship. There was no degree, but there were plenty of tattoos.
And cars.
Well, please don't use that example in the future, but I understand where you're going with a bad example because, one, he was a two-time BCS game MVP. He was started from his freshman year at Ohio State for 3 years. He didn't play senior year. And he has a record in the NFL will never be broken. 93-yard touchdown run by a quarterback. That's a record for an NFL quarterback. It'll never, ever be broken.
Will that get him into Canton?
That might get him $12 million. He's already in Canton. Mm-hmm. He's in Canton because he played so well in one game last year that they put his jersey, his uniform, his entire uniform in Canton. He's the only player to ever catch, run, throw, and do something else in one game with so many yards. So they put that.
I was going to say maybe he was the first person on the Cleveland Browns team to finish a game that he started. And that was worthy of getting mentioned in the Hall of Fame.
I'm glad you got to hear my two boys discussing the facts as they see it. The facts as they see it on a former star athlete. We're going to go to Chip right now. We got a segment for Chip, and we're going to do that right now.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore. It's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, you know, but right here is everything that you need is in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks, like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here. Like, it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and, you know, let Dave be your guide.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Oh, good evening, everybody, and welcome to my trivia segment. We've been talking about the WPIAL basketball championships. I've been talking about the debacle of the Pitt basketball team this year. And we're into a new month. It's March. And what do we want to talk about in March? March Madness, right? So let's go back to the roots of how March Madness became March Madness and why how it evolved into the biggest basketball tournament of the year. Actually, the main basketball tournament at one time in the United States was the NIT tournament. Right. The NIT tournament was the crown that you wanted to have as a basketball tournament. So in 1939, March Madness is born. The University of Oregon defeats the Ohio State University 46-33 in 1939 to win the first ever NCAA men's basketball tournament. The Final Four, as the tournament became known, has grown exponentially in size and popularity since 1939. By 2005, college basketball became the most popular sporting event among gamblers after the Super Bowl. The majority of that betting takes place at tournament time when Las Vegas, the internet, and office polls take precedence. Now, for the first 12 years of the men's tournament, only 8 teams were invited to participate. That number grew steadily until a 65-team tournament format was unveiled in 2001. After a play-in game between the 64th and the 65th seeds, the tournament breaks into 4 regions of 16 teams. The winning teams from those regions comprise the Final Four, who meet in that year's host city to decide the championship. The most successful team in the NCAA men's tournament history has been the UCLA Bruins, who have taken home a record 11 championships, 10 of them under the great Wizard of Westwood, John Wooden, between 1964 and 1975. And during that period, they won 7 consecutive NCAA titles. That will never happen again.
No. Never.
Okay? And especially now that you've got the one and done in college basketball. You got people like John Calipari that, take a bunch of freshmen and turns them into next year's first-round draft picks for the NBA. So the University of Kentucky is second with 7 titles, and Indiana University rounds out the top 3 with 5 tournament wins. At the end of every tournament, a most outstanding player is chosen. Almost all of those players go on to productive careers in the NBA. Lou Alcindor, later Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, won the award 3 times while leading UCLA. Bill Walton succeeded Alcindor at center for UCLA. Jerry Lucas of Ohio State, Alex Groza of Kentucky, and Bob Kurland of Oklahoma A&M all won the award twice. Now, there's the men's basketball tournament, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention the women's basketball tournament.
I like that.
And as we speak today, the University of Connecticut women's basketball team won their 107th game in a row last night. And it looks like they are poised, ready to make another run for their 4th consecutive championship and their 12th championship for Gino Auriemma in his career. He already has 11 championships. The guy's a machine. He just keeps on producing winners year after year. So the NCAA held its first women's basketball tournament in 1982. The women's tournament started with 32 teams, expanding to 64 teams before the 1994 season. Today, the women's format echoes the men's with play in 4 regions, culminating in a Final Four held in a single location. The championship is played the day after the men's, concluding the college basketball season. The most dominant team in the women's tournament history had been the Tennessee Volunteers, who had won 6 championships under the renowned coach Pat Summitt. The Connecticut Huskies are second with, at this time this was printed, 5 championships, but we all know that number has been raised to 11. So that's a little bit of the history of the NCAA tournament and how it got here. And that brings me to, we talk about the dominance of the UCLA basketball team. And you know me, if I do love to pull out some trivia from
What do you got?
somewhere that nobody's heard of or nobody thought of. But this year, the Kansas Jayhawks clinched at least a share of the Big 12 title on Wednesday night, the team's 13th straight regular season conference championship under Bill Self.
Wow.
That ties a record with John Wooden's dynastic UCLA teams of the 60s and 70s and makes for one of the great feats in college basketball history, better than Duke's title Final Four runs, North Carolina's ACC dominance under Dean Smith, and UCLA's similar streak. And it's almost as good, if not as good, as the record generally accepted to be the best in the history of the sport. Those Bruins winning 10 titles in 12 years. Now, of those 13 years, Bill Self kind of reminds me of the Atlanta Braves of the 90s, where they won 13 division titles and they only won one championship. Yeah. He did win an NCAA championship in 2008, and Kansas, once again, is poised in the top 4 teams in the country and could be considered one of the favorites to make a run in the tournament this year. So, and because my printing is off on this, you can see my printer was dying. But I felt that was worth bringing up, so here is my bold prediction for the tournament this year. And I haven't really, I'm going to pull for the Kansas Jayhawks this year to win the second national championship for Bill Self and to make that record of 13 consecutive regular season Big 12 championships. You think about that. In the turnover that you get in college basketball with, you've got your superstar players that will leave early to go play in the NBA if they become a lottery pick. But, you're not playing with the same players year in and year out. And he's still able to maintain a level of consistency. And that's what I feel is truly
Where that buddy Ernie play college basketball at?
Ernie who?
Ernie.
Kutzmeyer.
Is it Kansas?
Yeah, he played at Kansas.
I think it was Kansas State. It may have been Kansas State.
No, it was K-State.
It was K-State?
K-State?
Yeah, K-State. Because I have a good friend that I know here. He moved here.
That's
he went
different.
To K-State.
That's different.
But, Jim was a little long on his segment, which enabled me to go a little short on mine. It all works out. See how we complement one another?
Great stuff, man.
Thanks, Chip. Appreciate your trivia time. And we're going to go to my segment on here right now. I believe Tessa's got on location with the Talking Machine. Last night we were at Hollywood Lanes, had a great show. A few technical difficulties starting up, but we had 7 great guests, from our man Claudio Rosano to 2 young kids that are wrestling champs, the Vargo family. There's John Vargo, had his 16th birthday, record of 29-7 this year, which is awesome.
Good job.
Then we run into young Chris, who not only is he a wrestling champion, last year his dad shared this with me off air. They were up in Erie, and he wins a championship wrestling title. They had boxing in Erie. He's a Golden Gloves champ.
Wow.
So I was asking this young man about, does he have a lot of trophies and medals? He got a whole room filled up with it. He may have over 200 wins just this year alone.
Wow.
There was a wrestling tournament here in Bethel Park, and the dad goes, no offense, but they didn't have the competition at the level that my son, Chris, is wrestling at. So he was wrestling in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
He's going to be wrestling in Tennessee this weekend. And he does it for this Quest Wrestling School out of Cannonsburg. Met the owner, I think it was Jim Ackerley, great guest. So we had some fun.
Well, is he signed with a college?
He's only 11 years old.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
He's in shape like you can't believe.
I would have to believe so, yes.
It'll be a gateway soon.
No, they nixed that already. They're not going to move. I already talked them out.
Yeah, he'd be protecting the armed guards.
But those were some of the quality of guests. Smoking Jim had a special. South Fayette cheerleaders did some unbelievable things in their competition. They have 14 sophomores, 2 freshmen, and they rocketed to great standings in the WPIAL and champions and PIAA. They have new coaches from Robert Morris University, and 2 of their girls come on, Special K and Bella. So I still don't know their names, but Smoking Jim didn't either, and he's big fans of theirs, and they were great. So we had them on the show, and just a good bunch of people. We'll be at the Fairway Grill on the 20th in March. Come check us out at Fairway Grill. They have different specials, and we'll see you up there with our cast of guests, and we'll be filming another show. So thanks for following us in the public, and we're going to go to a commercial and come back talking some Penguins.
Nice.
Visit the Oliver Miller Homestead, an 18th century reenactment site located just off the Circle on Corrigan Drive in South Park. Self-guided tours are available each Sunday from May 1st until December 8th from 1:30 until 4:30 p.m. with guides in 18th century garb located around the grounds to answer questions and to give information. Your tour will begin in a reproduction bank barn where displays give information on the movement west. You will also see the Miller Still and learn about the production of whiskey and the importance of it and of the Whiskey Rebellion to this area. Follow the Miller Trail up the path and visit the transportation shed, demonstration shed, forge, a reproduction log house, the original spring house, gardens, and finally end at the stone house. Each month, the guides host at least one special event. The homestead is also a great place for tours, tailored to the needs of school-age children, scout groups, or adults. Visit our website at www.olivermillerhomestead.org for a schedule for the year and much more information on the history of the Miller family, our organization, and pricing information.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Thanks for not changing that dial. Verizon 32 and Comcast 7. We're glad we could do this live Pittsburgh Sportsline TV show with a few glitches that we had. We overcame them. We heard we weren't live, and we found out that we've been live the whole time. So, Chief, I'm glad you enjoyed the show, and anybody else watching the show, we appreciate it. Johnny out there, I know you watch our show at different odd hours when it's on, so we appreciate the fans. Without you, we couldn't do this show. I mean, we could talk, but it's more fun interacting with some people out there in the public there. And found out Smoking Jim got to go to New Kent at 9, so we'll try to get these last 10 minutes in. We got a little Penguin talk here. Mm-hmm. Got healthy players coming back from the Penguins.
Healthy players coming back.
Flory, I got to at least bring this up.
Yes, you do.
I'm watching the hockey game the other day on Sunday. It started early.
Yes, it did.
And I was sick. I'm watching the game, 3-0. We're getting beat. Murray let goals in, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Second period starts. Out comes number 29. That's Fleury.
It's my
Since
man.
you're one of our hockey experts. You predicted they'd go to the Stanley Cup last year, and they did win it somehow. Since you copied and piggybacked what I said, that's okay. And Fleury come in, saved 28 shots, played a fantastic game, and all these fly-by-nighters that talk about, they're tweeting about Fleury sucks, and they make things, snide remarks. At the stadium there, they were all for Fleury because they were happy to see what he has done, like Chip has mentioned.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, any true fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins absolutely loves and adores Marc-Andre Fleury. Everybody that's ever played with Marc-Andre Fleury loves and adores Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, what happened to Marc-Andre Fleury was not a result of poor performance on his fault.
He got concussed.
He got concussed, and Matt Murray rose to the occasion. And,
a good young man.
We talked about this. We talked about the Wally Pipp thing, and it was the same kind of a thing. Now, Jim Rutherford stated all along that if he wasn't able to get the right deal for Marc-Andre Fleury, that he would be perfectly okay keeping him on the roster.
And he has.
And, the thing that perplexed me, and maybe because I'm a Yinzer, a homer, whatever you want to call me, people weren't making very good offers for Marc-Andre Fleury. And same thing as with Andrew McCutchen this past winter. If you're going to get rid of somebody that has been the face of the franchise or a very integral part of the franchise for quite a period of time, if you are not going to get fair market value for that person, then you're better off keeping them. And, so they're
not bad players.
So no, neither of them are bad. And there's nothing about Marc-Andre Fleury that ever would make me say that he sucks, that I wished he wasn't here in Pittsburgh. He's a great representative of the city, of the team, and a great ambassador for hockey as well.
Yes.
So, I think what that does is that strengthens the Penguins' position going into the playoffs. They picked up 2 or 3 defensemen.
Chris played well.
Chris Letang did not make the trip out west. The Penguins will be playing Winnipeg tomorrow night, and they're on a 5-game Western Canadian road trip. And they had to clear out of the console this weekend because the Atlantic 10 basketball tournament's being played at the Paint Can this week. So any Hoops fans want to see some NCAA basketball, you could get down there. But I think the Penguins are poised well. Now, they've got 21 games coming up in 40 days. So this is enough time to build the continuity that they're going to need with the new additions to the team and get the people that they need to be healthy. But the thing they really needed to do was strengthen their defense, which they did via the trade route. And they really didn't give up much, and they got some people that are going to be the right pieces to help them make a cup run this year. They're just not going to have them after this year.
And now, what does Smoking Jim think about this?
Well, I said all along when Chip and everybody else was saying they got to trade Marc-Andre Fleury, I said that if the Penguins want to win another Stanley Cup, you have to have Fleury on the team, and I'm glad you agree, Chip.
Well, Jim, I'm a big enough man to admit that I'm not always right, okay? But here's what the problem is, okay? As the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, so you've got a starting a backup goaltender that's making twice as much money as your starter, who won the last Stanley Cup, okay? Now you're going to lose him in June, whether you like it or not, because you're only going to be able to protect one of your goaltenders. So, if you're going to lose somebody of that caliber, it is a shame. I guess the trade-off would be a Stanley Cup and lose Marc-Andre Fleury, or do you get some players that can help the team win down the road? So
he's the answer man.
It'll be interesting as far as that goes. And if I may be as bold, because this is something I wanted to talk to Jim about last week.
Okay.
When he was
be bold.
When he was absent. But okay, I know you're working on the draft. We had the combine last week. New record set in the 40-yard dash.
Ross, yeah.
A 4.22. There's a lot of different ways that the Steelers could go in the draft. And I've been discussing this with a number of different people. There's some people that say they need to go outside linebacker because they need to get a pass rushing specialist, which they don't have right now. Right. We're still going to need help in the secondary. We know that's a given. Some people are saying that potentially they said there's 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are first-round caliber quarterbacks in this year's draft, but not one of them is a top 10 pick. And they say, well, with Ben talking retirement, that maybe it would make sense to go for a quarterback in the first round. And I've also heard they need to go after a wide receiver because of the question marks surrounding Martavius Bryant. Marcus Wheaton looks like he's going to be shown the door. Then there's also a running back issue because Le'Veon Bell hasn't completed a season yet in the NFL healthy. Mm-hmm. And you got D'Angelo Williams, who's now an unrestricted free agent. What do you think the direction the team should move in when it comes time for the draft? Well, I know there's a lot of questions to answer right there.
And under a couple minutes.
Yeah, I can just wrap it up real quick. First of all, Big Ben secretly had been working out in San Diego. Matter of fact, he worked out with James Conner from Pitt, with several other guys. So Ben's working out. He's not going to retire. I think he wants a little bit more power. 4th round, I'm drafting James Conner from University.
I said that last week. Yeah. I said that to Alan last week. I said we could probably get him 3rd, 4th round.
In the 1st round, if I had my wish list, it would be Malik Hooker from Ohio State. The Steelers need.
Do you think he'll still be there, the 30th pick?
I think he will because he only started 1 year. He's only a sophomore. Okay. I think the potential will be there. Plus, he didn't work out at the combines, and a lot of the upperclassmen train for the combines. So I don't think that he's going to have off-the-chart numbers at his pro day because these guys ain't as a sophomore. You're not used to putting in the kind of specialized work. But if you don't get him, position flexibility is important to this team. And I would take linebacker / strong safety / punt returner / tailback / this / that from Michigan, Peppers.
Jabril Peppers.
Yeah, Peppers would be my choice if he's available there. I think he will because he's a tweener. I think the potential's there. But I think there's enough places that they can go in the draft. I would take the guy that, Le'Veon Bell smokes blunts with Snoop Dogg, so why not take a player who was Snoop Dogg's greatest player, the guy that ran a 4.22, played for Snoop Dogg's youth football team, and just tore it up for University of Washington. He can return punts and kickoffs for you. He can take the top coverage off as far as a wide receiver, speed-wise. So I would love to have him.
Last week I brought that up on the air, and I said that it would be great for the Steelers to take James Conner for a lot of different reasons. But, he's nothing but, positivity. And he knows the facilities.
Yeah.
And he
can play football.
And the guy's a beast in the workout room.
I agree.
And he does well on the field.
And off the field too. Yeah.
He would be a win-win for the Steelers that seem to have problems with character issues, and he is a character issue guy.
I'm looking like, what is this?
Smoking Jim, you're so loaded up, man. I got the white shirt out for.
Now here's one last question, because we're coming up on the last minute here, and being an NFL scout, how important is it that a player goes and performs at the combine, and is that where a guy earns his draft position? Or does he earn his draft position by watching his film?
I would say yes, because 95% of the scouts and general managers have no idea how to evaluate a football player. So that's the reason why. Yeah, and it's a shame.
I just, we put so much emphasis on it, and I would rather see somebody in pads in a game and see how he plays the ball, how he attacks the ball, at the point of attack and stuff like that, or is he the guy that's chasing the ball runner down the field?
We're going to be ending the show here. We got about 10 seconds left. Thanks, Chip. Thanks, Smoking Jim Frazier. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I appreciate you all watching. Watch us again next week. Stay Joey strong.